What is up, people? Welcome back to Blue Chip Prospect for another video. Today, we're going to be taking a look into a guy that's climbing up everybody's list. So we're going to be talking about Cayden Lindstrom. So without further ado, let's get this started right away. So first, let's take a look at his profile. Lindstrom is a left shooting center. He's listed at 6'4", 215 pounds, and he sure looks like it when he plays. He's a February 2006, so he's on the younger side with still a lot of room to grow. When it comes to rankings, most newer rankings have him higher, like elite prospect at number 4 and prominent at number 10. On the other hand, most older ranking have him later in the draft, like Button and Hockey News, who have him at 19th and 25th respectively, but both rankings are from September. I'm expecting a climb up the ranking when they get an update. For me, just based on his tools, he deserves a place in my top 10, but I'm closer to prominent right now than I am to elite prospect. When it comes to stats, he's well above a point per game with 1.38, which puts him in the same bracket as players like Barzal, Cody Glass, Matthew Savoie, and above players like Dylan Cousin and Kirby Dach, who both seems to be on their way to be impactful NHLer, and both had similar profile to Lindstrom if you want, but a very different game. I would say that the most impressive of all his stats is his 24 goals in 29 games at the time of recording this, and how projectable those goals are. In terms of strength and weaknesses, Lindstrom's strength relies in the package and the overall toolkit, including physical advantage, and not just in one or two particular attribute. I graded 3 attributes as IN, which is a lot, but outside of the skating, the other 2 don't come with the same amount of consistency. But consistency issues or not, he's 17, he's 6'4", he's 215 pounds, and he can skate like the wind. So that's a pretty strong foundation if you ask me. But when you add to that foundation his competitiveness and his shot, you get a very, very desirable player, even if the shot and physicality isn't always there. Once or if he figures out how to use his body better in protection, and when to use his blistering shot when the opportunity presents itself, he has the potential to become a very dangerous player all over the ice, but there's some limitation and some yellow flags, let's say. So it's not like it's a sure thing that he will become that star, big body, physical scoring center in the NHL. Lindstrom is an amazing skater for his size, and he's an amazing skater for any size. I don't think it's elite, but it's definitely IN. He has a powerful stride and he can create separation with just a few strides. Using his length and his skating, it's basically impossible to strip the puck away from when he's not skating himself into trouble though. He also uses explosiveness to close on player quickly in the defensive zone or to overwhelm defenders on the forecheck. And again, using his powerful stride, I don't think he loses any race for the puck going from the slot where he always is to the board to keep the player alive. And that's just the explosion part of his skating. He's also a very fast skater and he doesn't need to have the highs to get to his speed. In just a few strides, he can reach his speed, and when he does, he's just flying out there. He can easily transition the puck from defense to offense or circle the offensive zone with the puck while keeping possession. He's just as fast with or without the puck, and that is if he's not actually faster when he has the puck on his stick. The skating overall is definitely adequate for the NHL. It's just not the speed and acceleration, it's also the pace at which he plays and his agility for a guy of that size. He's not scared to use quick cuts to try to fool players or at least give himself enough space to roll off a check. His crossovers are extremely fluid, he doesn't look choppy at all. He uses them a lot to transition the puck cleanly. Overall, a fabulous skater, and like I said before, he's 6'4", so there's that also. And before we jump to hockey sense, if you guys enjoy these videos, please take the time to like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and reach more hockey fans, and it's really appreciated. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like the hockey sense could be a limiting factor in this case, but at the same time, it's a very hard tool to figure out or accurately determine with under 10 total viewings. And it's not just the number of viewings, but it's also the environment. He's playing on a good team with other very good players like Basha and McKenna who can play themselves out of bad situations. There's also the fact that he's 17 with still a lot to learn and can burn the OHL just by riding on his tools. So I gave him an average grade because I'm not positively impressed by his decision making, nor am I negatively impressed. So There's some instance where he will skate himself into trouble when a guy of his size and his skating capabilities shouldn't do that in the OHL. He'll also do the same with his stick handling. He'll dangle around or through a player applying pressure just to dangle himself into the next closest player and lose the puck there. Sometimes, especially when under pressure, he will pass the puck to the first teammate he sees and pass the puck to a player that's surrounded by three other players when he could have just rimmed it around or passed it back to the blue line. As it is right now, I don't think his hockey brain is at the same level as his physical tools. He kind of makes me think of Slavkovsky in that sense. And for anybody who watched Slavkovsky play in his draft year or in the first 20 games of this season, it's obvious that what he needs the most is more reps. He needs to be put into different scenarios, different play, different situation where he can figure out how to make them at NHL speed. Some nights he looks extremely hesitant, and some night he looks like he's a future dominant superstar. I think Cayden will need the same kind of treatment. The speed of execution might not come to him naturally like many other blue chip prospects, but through reps and reps and reps, he'll get there. Not every type of prospect needs to have the hockey sense through the roof anyway, and you will see later that the way he plays is very, very projectable to the NHL, and that he has the right type of thinking that fits his physical tools. In Lindstrom's case, he has good stick handling skills, no more, no less. Probably a little bit over average, I would say, especially for a guy of that size, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a strength either. What he's pretty good at, though, is to keep the puck around himself and around his reach. As long as the puck is somewhere he can reach it, whether it's in his skates or somewhere around him, he will most likely be the one who keeps the puck. He seems to be more confident in his ending now as opposed to the beginning of the season, and he definitely tries more stuff, but he also seems to bobble the puck or lose it on every toe drag attempt. But like I said, if it's anywhere in his surroundings, he will most likely keep control of it somehow. I don't think he's a natural puck handler, and it becomes very evident by the sharp contrast there is when you watch a game and you see his 15-year-old teammate Gavin McKenna handle the puck. For one, it's an integral part of his game, and every shot and pass comes with a bundle of dangle to move sticks and bodies out of the way. And for the other, it's a way to keep the play alive or gain the zone or protect the puck on the cycle or when he's pinned down on the board. Shades of Slavkovsky again. In conclusion, stick handling isn't overly impressive or something that stands out in a big way, but as he grows and as he moves up to the AHL and then the NHL, it will become a more and more important part of his overall game, especially in puck protection or in tight spaces, and I think he has the necessary handling skills to become a very dangerous player around the net and on the cycle. Another part of what makes him a great prospect for the 2024 NHL Draft is the compete and physicality he brings to the table. It's one thing to be 6'4", it's another to be 6'4" and go into every play like you're the underdog. I don't know if this means what I want it to mean, but he just plays like every play is the game-winning play. He's not overly physical for a guy that size, but every now and then he comes out of nowhere with a big hit. I think with time we will see more aggression from him, but for now his physicality is more concentrated towards screening goalies like his life depended on it, or winning position battle in front of the net every single shift. You guys will see in this shooting section of this video how he is always posted 1, 2, or 3 feet away from the goalie and always in position to score. He has the will and the compete to be there and win positioning battle relentlessly. He also uses his body really well to shield the puck while waiting for a better play. It's not easy to get the puck from him, whether along the board or in zone entries. Defenders have to work really, really hard and will most of the time not even win that battle for puck possession anyway. He just never quits, and it comes back to his handling when I said that wherever the puck is, if it's anywhere within his reach, he will most of the time keep possession of it somehow, even if he's overwhelmed by more than one defender. He has the will, the compete, and the mentality of that physical beast that's just annoying and just so hard to play against. And even if everything in his development goes wrong, you will always have that size, his skating, his compete to fall back on, which in itself is enough to make him an NHLer. When it comes to passing, I gotta be honest, it's the element of his game that I like the least. It's not bad, but it's the weakest part of his game in my opinion. He lacks the creativity, and he kind of comes back to the same cut back and pass play on every rush that doesn't have a clear path. Even on the power play, it's clearly McKenna who does all the distribution work and open up all the space for others. Lindstrom is always posted to the left of the net, waiting for the McKenna pass and do his power 180 move so he can rip one from in close. In the last video, I said that even though Greentree doesn't seem like a top playmaker right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he turned out to be a very good playmaker because he has the skills, he has the sense, he has the vision for it. I can't say the same for Lindstrom. Actually, I'd be pretty surprised if he became a great playmaker. Now, this sounds a bit too negative for my taste, but it really isn't. It's just not what his game is all about. At least not right now. Doesn't mean that he doesn't make nice plays here and there, because it definitely does, or that it's a glaring weakness that needs to be addressed right now. I just think that his skills better complement the one of a finisher and chaos creator than the one of a playmaker. I actually thought the same of Slavkovsky in his draft year. There's many resemblance between both players. I did think that Slav was a better playmaker than Lindstrom is right now, but never to the point of him developing into a play-driving playmaker, but with the same finishing skill as I had when I played, so who knows what the future has in store for Lindstrom. Alright, so shooting. For a little while, I didn't know how to present his shooting. Lindstrom was supposed to be my first scouting report and was supposed to be released like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I came to the conclusion that I didn't have a good read on him, and especially his shot. Like 80% of his goal are tap-ins from 2 feet away or rebounds, and I felt like every game he would rip a couple solid wrister, but nothing extraordinary. He also passed on so many clear shooting occasions, so I decided to take a little step back and watch a few more games over the coming weeks, and boy oh boy, was it a good decision. I already knew that he had a solid shot from distance, but he didn't use it enough. Now that he's gaining confidence, I guess, he started ripping shots, and not just shots from 2 or 3 or 4 feet away, but from mid-range, and man, he has a phenomenal shot. The power and the velocity on the puck behind some of those wristers is just dangerous. What's even better is that he can rip these shots with barely any forward motion. If you sit down and compare his best wristers with other great shooters, you'll see that all he needs is just a few inches to push the puck forward with dangerous velocity, while others often needs a lot more space to release a solid shot. It's pretty impressive. Now, obviously, he will need to do it with more consistency, but at the same time, you don't want to change his game too much because what he does is working very well for him, and he plays within his strength, so you don't want to change that. But adding a few more of those wristers from mid-range every game will open up his game so much more. But anyway, other than that, he's a very versatile goal scorer. The guy can score goals any way you want it, but his offense is clearly in the low slot. Whether it's bouncing on rebounds or positioning himself for tap-ins or one-touch shot, he does it all from there. There's not many more projectable attributes than that in a hockey player. Like I said a little earlier, when a player has the skills and the will to score goals many different ways in the low slot, if everything fails in his development, he always have those attributes to fall back on. Some players build great careers with nothing else than will and low slot abilities. Thinking of Gallagher, for example, the guy is small, the guy isn't a great skater, he doesn't have a great shot, isn't a playmaker in any shape or form, but he has the will to take a beating in front of the net and bounce on every rebound possible. If Lindstrom can play with half of Gallagher's heart and you add the elements and physical advantage that he has, he will be unstoppable. From rebounds to one-timer, from one-touch, two-touch shot to a crazy wrister from distance, he's got it all. I didn't want to tag his shot as elite because he hasn't used it enough, and I haven't seen enough of those devastating wrister to do so I'm gonna hold back a little, but all is needed really is just a little bit of consistency. So in conclusion, Lindstrom's mix of physical attributes and skills will more than likely assure him a spot in the top 10 and even maybe the top 5. It will come to the team's needs in that case, and teams like Chicago, for example, definitely value speed and hard work and lack size and already have the most creative young player in the world, would probably jump on the occasion to draft him in the top 5, even maybe the top 3. Other teams who already have a dress size in their lineup would maybe go for a defenseman or a more creative, purely skilled player. In my case, I don't have him in my top 5 for now. He might reach it, but at this very moment, I have him at 7. In terms of player comparison, I can't really think of anyone who really fits what Cayden is, but I guess a mix of Dubois slash Kreider kind of makes sense. Slavkovsky is too raw to know what it will be later, so even if they are similar prospect, I doubt the finished product will be that similar. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.